the way that one individual's death has taken people by shock and by surprise, as though we are unaware that death is coming to us all. As though we are unaware that you won't be able to avoid it, that you won't be able to escape it, you won't be able to get around it. And it doesn't matter whether you're young or whether you're old. It doesn't matter whether you're wealthy or poor. It doesn't matter whether you're sick or in complete strength and health. Death is coming for us all. And so when we look at these examples, of people who died before us, and we have to begin to ask ourselves questions, because Allah says, we test you by death and by life. We test you by wealth and by poverty. We test you by material trappings and by being devoid of any. All of these are tests for us. When other individuals die, then the test becomes something else. And for us, I'd like for us to think about some of what transpires when people die and we become so consumed and so overwhelmed by the loss of life, we forget what our deen teaches us. First, that everybody's going to die. Secondly, our deen teaches us that there are lessons in it for you and I. When you ask yourself, what is the lesson? One of the things I was thinking about is that the way that people, Muslim and non-Muslims, are shocked, we start to value one life above another. Our Prophet ﷺ, he teaches us something totally different. When the Yahudi, when his janazah, when his beard, when his body is being carried across, and the Muslims, they're watching this funeral procession, and the Prophet ﷺ stand up. They say, but he's Yahudi. He says he's a Jew. The Prophet said, is he not a human soul? I say that because I think about all of the lives that are lost every day in Yemen. All of the lives that are lost every day in Syria. All of the lives that are lost every day in Afghanistan. All of the lives that are lost every day in Iraq. All of the lives that are lost every day in Africa, in West Africa, in East Africa, in Central Africa. All of the lives that are lost every day in inner cities across the USA. And we have no sense of pain, no sense of feeling about it. But when a celebrity dies, it exposes you and I to the subtle shirk that we have to be aware of. Remember what our Prophet ﷺ, he said about death. He says about shirk. He says this shirk. He said this subtle shirk. He said it's so inconspicuous. He said it's like a black ant on a black rock in the black of the night. Sometimes it creeps up on you. Sometimes it catches you off guard. But each of us have to say, how do we feel about one individual or 9 individuals' death when we hear about death in the multitudes often? And then some Muslims, they start to entertain this idea about how they died, whether it was by fire or by some other circumstances. But again, I remind you that Muslims, who are sitting in masajids just like this, coming to pray to their Lord, sometimes run the risk of being victimized by somebody who comes in and explodes a bomb. And all of their body parts are scattered everywhere. We don't say anything about that. We don't feel the pain of that. But when we hear about an individual, we seem to be overwhelmed. So I'm saying death is a teacher. What are you prepared to gain from it? What lessons will you take? When we look at individuals like Koby Bryant, you say that he left a legacy. He left a legacy. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said, oh Allah, he says, give me honorable mention from among the future generations. He said, oh Allah, make the people remember me. We have in our tradition this. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the Quraysh leadership is mocking him because he has no male children, and they're saying, don't worry about Muhammad. He's going to die one day and he's going to be cut off. And you won't hear his name anymore. Those individuals who said that, you can't recall their name. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm saying to you, be concerned about your own legacy. Be concerned about what deeds you're going to leave behind. Be concerned about what the people are going to say about you after you are gone. Allah reminds us in the Quran, he says those people, they have their stuff is gone. It's behind them. They have their rewards. They have their account. It's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but what about you? about you? What about me? You know, death is always sudden. Death always catches somebody by surprise. You know, we, in the same breath that we were feeling this whatever we experiencing about Koby, many of the people in this message, we also heard about the death of our young brother Mustafa. Mustafa hung, he was here during Ramadan, after Ramadan, with his brother Daoud, who was murdered, with his brother Yusuf. You know, he's under 30. He died, and when we said it to people, or when people said it, it was passing. You know, Mustafa passed. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and everybody kept going. No pain, no what's next, no what should we do, how is he buried, do they need any help? None of that. But every day since last Sunday when we walk in, somebody says, Imam, but I'm trying to understand this about a celebrity's death. Allah exposes us. And when he exposes us, it's up to you and I to gather that information and transform our lives. Allah says in the Quran, he says, O ye who believe, send something forward for tomorrow. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullah wal tanzur nafsum ma qaddamat ligad. Wa taqullah inna Allaha khabirun bima ta'malun. He says, O you who believe, fear Allah and send something forward for tomorrow. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he asked for honorable mention, but he also reminded his children, and Yaqub asked his children, what will you worship after me? What wasaya? This legacy. What will your inheritance be? What will your bequest be? What will you remind them? What will you teach them? How will you instruct them to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because nothing else will matter. You might have a lot of money. You might have big homes and big cars and all of those things. But what have you sent forward for tomorrow? What will be registered in your account on the day of judgment? Will they say, Muhammad was a good man? You know, and he came to the aid of anybody who asked. Whether they were Muslim or not, he was there to aid and assist. Will they say that he was steadfast, or she was steadfast in their worship, in their zakat, in their sadaqah? Will they say that they displayed kindness and gentleness wherever they were, that they softened people's hearts and gave them a sense of a reason to live just because they spoke to them or smiled at them, which is a sadaqah. And our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said of the sadaqah, he said it's burhan. It's a proof for you on the day of judgment. What will the people say, and what will your legacy be? Yeah, the people going to die. You and I, we're going to die. We're going to leave here. But what they going to say? Will people stop? Will they take notice? We have brothers and sisters dying every day. So when we look at people like Koby Bryant, we understand from it that the most immediate lesson that we should derive from it is that death is going to find you. You won't be able to hide from it, even if you sought refuge in lofty towers. But we also take from an individual's life, you know, lessons. People are celebrating it and remembering it in some ways because he had good work ethic. What about yours? He was disciplined in his craft. How disciplined are you in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We have work to do. Imam Zayd, he was reading Ibn Qayyim's book on preparing for the hereafter, and he reminded himself and others, "O one preoccupied with his worldly affairs, he has been deceived by hopes for a long life, and to the end of his life will he remain enveloped in heedlessness, until the end of his lifespan draws near." He says, اصبر على أهوالها لا موت إلا بأجل. Patiently endure the world's challenges. There is no death except with an expiration that is fixed. He went on further to remind us of what Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said. He said, whoever enters the grave without sending forward righteous deeds for the benefit of his soul is like the one endeavoring to sail the sea without a ship. The one who attempts to get on the sea, and sail without a ship. He's reminding us, send something forward. Well, what is your legacy going to be? What will the people say about you? Omar, he said, exalted status in the world comes through wealth. Exalted status in the hereafter comes through righteous deeds. And Yahya ibn Mu'ad, he stated, a noble person does not rebel against Allah, and a wise person does not give preference to the world over the hereafter. And one of the wise saints, he said, whoever laughingly commits a sin, Allah will enter him into hell while he is crying. And whoever obeys Allah and he is weeping, Allah will enter him into paradise while he is laughing. It is related that the prophet Dawood, he said, it has been revealed in the Psalms that an intelligent person should rightfully be preoccupied with three things: preparing for the hereafter, taking provisions for one's livelihood, and seeking pleasure from the lawful. Yahya ibn Mu'ad, he also said, paradise is for one who leaves the world before it leaves him. Who leaves the world before it leaves him, who prepares for his grave before he enters it. And he pleases his Lord, and he's pleased with his Lord when he meets him. We're all gonna die. What are you gonna send? What will be waiting for you? These are the questions. This is how we should approach every death, whether celebrity or little known, whether rich or poor, whether family member or distant. Every time that we hear about a death, it should remind us, you up next. It should remind us, you're on deck. It's coming to you. What preparations will you make? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. والسلام على أشرف المرسلين ختم النبيين رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Allah reminds us in the Quran, وَأَن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى وَأَنَّ سَعْيَهُ سَوْفَ يُرَى ثُمَّ يُجْزَاهُ الْجَزَاءَ الْأَوْفَى وَأَنَّ لِرَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. And that man shall have nothing but what he strives for. And the fruit of his striving he'll soon see. And that to your Lord is your final return. That's the reminder for you and I. Make effort every day. Make effort in your prayers. Make effort in your charity. Make effort in your fasting. Make effort in your preparing for the next life. Make effort in your relationship with your wife, with your children, with your daughters, with your sons, the people that you pray with, the people that we should pray for. Make effort every day. Death is coming to us. How are you preparing? Hatem ibn al-Asam said, there is no mourning except that Satan says to me, what will you eat? What will you wear? Where will you live? And I respond to him, I eat death. I wear my burial shroud. I live in the grave. He's constantly defeating and overcoming the whispers of the shaitan by reminding himself, I'm here just for a little while. I'm here just for a little while. As the death